You ever stop and think about how the global economy actually works? I mean, really think about it. How do millions of products, each with thousands of little parts, get made and shipped out every single day? Well, turns out there's this hidden system, kind of like an invisible engine humming away in the background, that makes it all happen. Today, we're going to pop the hood on that engine. We're going to see what makes this thing, called materials management, really tick.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Building a single car with 30,000 parts. The complexity is just mind-boggling. It's not enough to just have all the parts. You need every single one of them in the right place, at the exact right time, in the exact right number. One little screw goes missing, the whole assembly line could grind to a halt. We're talking millions of dollars lost. So how on earth do they pull it off?
Well, the answer is pretty cool. It's all run by this powerful, hidden digital engine, a system that organizes, tracks, and manages every single piece of the puzzle, from the raw metal all the way to the shiny new car. And that engine has a name, materials management, or just for short. The best way to think about it is like the central nervous system for any company that deals with actual physical stuff. It's the rulebook, it's the scorekeeper, it makes sure every single item is accounted for from the moment it enters the factory to the moment it leaves. Okay, to really get a handle on this, let's zoom in. Forget the 30,000 parts for a minute. Let's just follow the journey of one simple little component. How about a single bolt? We're going to watch as it makes its way through this incredible system. So where does our bolt's journey start? Well, it starts with a map, but not a physical map you can hold. Before this system can track even a single item, it has to build a perfect digital replica of the entire company. I'm talking from the big head office right down to one specific shelf in a warehouse. I mean, it makes sense, right? You can't manage what you can't see. So the system creates this digital mirror of the real world. And it's not just some random list of addresses either, no. It's a super structured map, a hierarchy, that connects every single part of the business together. It all starts at the very top. You've got the company itself. This is the big one, the highest level in the whole structure, representing the entire legal and financial entity. Then, just below that, the company gets divided into what they call plants. Now, plant is a bit of a broader term than you might think. It's not always a factory with smokestacks. A plant could be a massive warehouse, a regional distribution hub, or even the corporate head office, basically any distinct physical location. And we keep drilling down inside each of those plants, we get even more specific with storage locations. This could be a particular room, a specific zone on the factory floor, or hey, even down to a single rack in the warehouse. You need that level of detail so the system knows exactly where our little bolt is going to end up. Okay, so we've got our digital map of the whole operation. Now, every single thing that moves around on that map needs an ID. Think of it like a digital passport. And that's where something called master data comes into play. Master data is basically the ultimate source of truth for all the company's most important info. It's the stuff that doesn't really change day to day. And for our journey, two of these passports are absolutely critical. One is the material master, that's for our bolt, and the other is the vendor master, that's for the company that sells us the bolt. So this material master for our bolt, it's like its digital DNA. It contains everything. We're talking its dimensions, its weight, what it's made of, how you're supposed to store it, if it has a shelf life, even its country of origin. Every last detail is captured right there in the system. And you know what? It's the exact same idea for the suppliers. The vendor master holds all the crucial business info for every single company they buy from. Contact details, what payment terms you've agreed on, bank info, tax numbers, and here's the really important part, their performance history. Are they always on time? Is the quality good? The system keeps track of all of that. All right, so we've got our map and we've got our passports. Now it's time to actually get our bolt moving. The whole journey kicks off the very moment someone realizes, hey, we need more of these. And this process is super structured, as you'd expect. It's not just a casual email. First, someone creates an internal request. That's called a purchase requisition. Then, the system can automatically send out a request for quotation, or an RFQ, to different suppliers. After the quotes come in, they're evaluated, based on price, quality, delivery time, and finally, a legally binding purchase order gets sent to the winning vendor. And this is a perfect example of why that whole structured process is so important. This comes from a real-world case study of a supermarket chain down in Brazil. See,
They had the fancy system, but their staff just kept ordering from the same old vendors, out of habit. They weren't using the system to compare quotes and negotiate better deals. And because of that, they were basically just leaving piles of money on the table. So the purchase order for our bolt is out. It's been confirmed. Sometime later, a truck pulls up to the loading dock with our delivery. Now, what happens next is just as critical as everything that came before it. The very first thing that happens is what's called a goods receipt. A worker in the warehouse will scan the shipment and immediately check it against that digital purchase order. Did they send the right bolts? Is the number of boxes correct? Is anything damaged? Every single detail gets verified and logged into the system, right then and there in real time. But hold on, the supplier doesn't get their money just yet. Nope. First, the system has to perform a really critical financial check. It's a cornerstone of corporate finance, and it's called the three-way match. And it's all about one thing: making sure the company never pays for something it didn't ask for or something that never actually got. So here's how that works. It's actually pretty simple. The system digitally lines up 3 key documents and compares them. First, the purchase order. That answers the question, what did we ask for? Second, the goods receipt. That answers, what did we actually get? And third, the vendor's invoice, which answers, what are they billing us for? And if those 3 things don't line up perfectly, the system just blocks the payment automatically. If the invoice says they sent 1,000 bolts, but we only received 900, blocked. If the price on the invoice is higher than what we agreed to in the purchase order, blocked. Only when all 3 documents are in perfect sync does the system give the green light for finance to pay the bill. It's such a simple idea, but it's an incredibly powerful way to control spending. Okay, so we've mapped out the entire company, we've given everything a digital passport, and we've tracked our little bolt from just an idea all the way to a paid-for item sitting on a shelf. You might be thinking, wow, that's a lot of trouble. What's the big payoff here? Well, here it is. All of that data, all that tracking, it allows for some incredibly smart business decisions, especially when it comes to accounting. For example, you have methods like LIFO and FIFO for valuing your inventory. And get this, in a time when prices are going up, using the LIFO method, that's last in, first out, means your cost of goods sold looks higher on paper. And a higher cost means, you guessed it, lower reported profits, which means you pay less in taxes. This is not a small deal. For a huge company, choosing the right accounting method can legally save them millions of dollars. But here's the catch. You can only do that if you have a system, just like the one we've been talking about, that has a perfect auditable record of when every single item was bought and for exactly how much. So this whole system, this digital map, these data passports, all these structured processes, it really is the unseen engine that builds our modern world. It's the only reason a car with 30,000 different parts can even be built in the first place. So the next time you see a really complex product, maybe you'll take a second and think about the invisible, perfectly managed journey of its simplest little part.